Hey,
How's it going? Hello.
good, good.
Sick shirt.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, it can.
Yeah. Thanks for the shirt. I know. I was like, it's funny because I'll get like a lot of different artists, and I go, okay, what shirt should I wear that kind of matches the whole, the music and the vibe of the whole. So yeah, I'll get
Appreciate it.
punk bands that wear punk shirts, goth bands that wear goth, stuff like
Yeah.
that. So I was like, yeah, so cool,
Hell
man.
yeah.
Well, thank you. Are you okay with Alejandro or Ollie? Is that what?
Ale,
Ollie.
Alejandro,
Okay,
all works. It's
all works
fine.
for you. Cool,
Just
man.
not Al.
Not Al. Just don't call me Al, please. That's funny. Yeah, man, thanks. Thanks for taking the time to be on my
No,
podcast, dude.
thank
I
you for
appreciate it.
reaching out and
Yeah, no
inviting
problem.
me. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, Grave Love is your project, your band. Amazing stuff. I mean,
Thank
everything
you.
that just keeps coming out. It's just like, damn, you're really like killing it. Just killing it out there. I see you doing some great shows. You got Ghost Cop coming up May 7th. I've had them on my podcast. Amazing group, dude.
I've been obsessed with them. I'm like so excited and honored to play with them for sure.
Yeah, and then you shared the stage with Red or Moon, which I had him on my podcast, and
Yeah, I saw that. I love those guys. Those guys are like we bonded really quick and they crash like every time they're in Chicago now with me.
that's cool.
Yeah, Jeremiah, Sergio, fucking love those guys. They're great.
It's so
They're
awesome.
like they're like they're like cousins. They feel like cousins to me for
That's so
real.
cool, man. It's such a neat like community. Like I love the whole goth community, and the dark wave or industrial. Like everything kind of molds into one, but everybody just kind of goes, "Hey, man, I need a place to crash. Can I crash out on your couch for a while?" And everyone's like, "Yes, come on, come on." So I love that.
Yeah.
So awesome. So yeah, you got Scorched Earth, which came out April 15th, which is actually part of the Goth Deed for Palestine compilation. Tell me about that song in particular. I mean, I think you have another song on that single. Was it Walking Line or?
Yeah, Walked in Line,
Yeah,
the
yeah. So
Joy
tell
Division cover.
yeah, so tell me about Scorched Earth, since it's the most recent
Yeah.
song. Tell me about the songwriting process, the production of it. Just kind of dive into it.
So Scorched Earth came together for us kind of quickly. It took a while to record it. I feel I've known the guys since like I met Hector who plays guitar in 2019.
Oh wow.
And so the demos that we put out, some of that stuff we recorded like back then, but
Wow. How far back? 2019.
yeah, like
Wow. So
2019,
pre
2020,
COVID. Wow. Yeah.
like just barely pre-COVID.
Okay. Gotcha.
And but with everything that happened, my dad had died in 2020. And also Roger was still living in Denver, so we weren't really playing stuff. So a lot of the stuff that we had put out was stuff that had honestly been written for a long time,
Okay.
that we kind of put together, and Scorched Earth came together a little more quickly, just out of a jam session.
Yeah.
And it took us maybe like 2 weeks, more or less, to get the basic gist of it down. And we recorded it a few different places, and tried a couple of different things. And we're mostly recording at home
Mhm.
with the help of some friends or just on our own. I've recorded my vocals with a friend of mine,
Okay.
and then this one and Mirada, which was the last single we put out, we had mixed and mastered by William Faith.
Yeah, I have that. Yep, that's awesome. And was it Matt Walker was playing drums on that one too?
Matt Walker did play on Mirada, which was really awesome.
Yeah.
Uh, Hector suggested that because he lives in like the burbs here of Chicago.
Yeah.
And that was cool. And they're huge, 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 huge Morrissey fans. They're obsessed. And
Yeah.
so for them it was really awesome. I mean, it's cool too. Matt Walker's played
Sure.
on so many
Yeah.
amazing bands that I also love and appreciate. Um we Oh, this is kind of like a leak, but we do also have Kelly Scott drumming
Wow.
on some stuff coming out,
Mhm.
and I'm very excited because Failure was a still is one of my favorite bands.
You see that documentary yet?
I haven't seen the
Yeah, I haven't either.
documentary,
I
to be
need to.
honest, and I haven't listened to the new album.
Yeah, me neither. So I
But
need to.
Fantastic Planet is,
So
I always joke, like excluding the entire Nine Inch Nails discography.
good. Hmm.
Fantastic Planet is definitely like a top 5 or 10 album for me.
Yeah.
And so it's really cool to have Kelly Scott. And we actually have a take of him playing Scorched Earth. And we might release it still. I know this is like I'm just like talking.
No, you're fine.
Whatever.
It's okay. No,
Uh
gab it up. I'm fine with anything.
I'm
So
gabbing, I know. So I'm just like we may or may not release that version.
okay,
We went with the drum machines because it felt more dancey.
sure.
And we just plain and simple wanted something that was a bit more dancey.
Hmm.
And like lyrically, um, it's like when the music is fun and dancey, but uh for me, a whole part of Grave Love, it's in the name,
Sure. Yeah.
is a lot of my work around death and dying and grief. And music has always been a huge place for me to express and communicate and move through and tap into all those feelings. And so Scorched Earth was that, we had just been watching a fucking live streamed genocide and more for the last 2, 3 years now. And it's hard to write or think about anything else
Hmm.
sometimes. And same with Walked in Line, like that's a very relevant song still to this day. Um, and, I added the chant in there and another verse. There's like a half a verse on the original version.
Hmm.
And so I filled out that verse also just addressing, genocide
Of course.
and so yeah, that's how Scorched Earth came about, just looking outside or on my phone really and
Mm.
just seeing shit and also, you know, the whole band is vampire themed. And I could talk at length about that.
That's fun.
Um, and one of those things is just like the metaphor and the vehicle that vampires provide
Hmm.
a culture and a society to view the shadow aspects of ourselves. And so, yeah, it's like you go to the goth club and people are dressed up as vampires,
Yeah.
but then you watch the news and you're like, no, these are like actual fucking
Hmm.
blood sucking horrific villains that we're dealing with here.
Yeah. I get that, and and I think when it comes to seeing certain things around us, like politics, really coincides with the music scene where people are kind of taking things in and using that the everything that's going on around them creatively. Like I noticed anytime there's something heavy going on, the scene has something to say about it. The punk scene, the goth scene, and honestly, I haven't really seen anything like this since probably the Bush administration. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like I
Oh
remember
yeah.
everything that went down after 9/11, and there was just this sort of like bands like Ministry and KMFDM and punk bands. There was punks against Bush, and it was just kind of this like the scene had something to say. And now I feel like it's coming back again, which is great because it's like we've had enough. We've had
Hmm.
enough, and we're sick of seeing it. We're sick of dealing with it, and I think taking stuff like that and putting it out creatively and not destructively is what's most important. And I think you added to the Goss for Palestine and stuff. Like I've been seeing a lot of those great compilations coming together, and all the proceeds go. And even people out in Minnesota were doing this sort of fuck ice compilation
Right.
and stuff like that, and helping out there. And it's just like we got a lot of crazy shit going on around us, but it's like we have something to say, and I think it's wonderful, especially creatively. I love it. So I think Scorch Earth is an amazing song. So I
Thank
encourage
you.
everybody who's watching this, if you haven't listened to it yet, pause it, go check it out, or go get it on Bandcamp because I'm always 100% check out anything on Bandcamp and make sure all the money goes towards, the band and yeah. So
Yeah, and you can go to the compilation album
yes, exactly.
through a Goth Deed for Palestine, Goths for Palestine.
Yeah, I'll put the link in the
Um,
description. So
and we were on the last compilation that they did as
mm-hmm.
well with Miradan, and we got on that because we and Grave Love and a bunch of other bands and other organizers, the people from the Chicago Goth scene
Mm-hmm.
page. We put on two benefit shows. One was for immigrants here, and the second one we did was for Palestine. And the turnouts were really great.
Yeah.
And we were posting all that online, and that page saw us and reached out and asked us to be on it. And so that was awesome because it's a big part of what we do and like to stay engaged. And I think it is important to be engaged. And I know there's a time and a place to use music as an escape, but I also think it's a really powerful place to tap into and express and have this catharsis for people, which I think a lot of the alternative, whether it's goth punk or like metal, a lot of that already exists in a way that is cathartic for people.
And I think it's great because it's something that we can all kind of turn to where, we don't want to, act out destructively, music, whether you turn to it as to put it on and listen to it and just kind of, you know, uh, deal with everything or to just do it creatively, even just, I talk to certain bands that are like, painting and art and all this, it's like another great where it's just like, I got all this built up, and then just, put it onto a canvas and,
Hmm.
it's good. And, I've noticed that there's a lot of great things going on out there in the Chicago scene. I love Chicago. I've always been very jealous just because I live in St. Louis and it's just like,
Mm.
between Kansas City and
So
Chicago.
close.
I love Chicago. I mean, tell me about growing up and did you grow up in Chicago, like born and raised, or did you move there? Tell me, kind of give
Yeah.
me a backstory about all that.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Chicago here, like on the north side
Wow.
in Bucktown.
Mhm.
First gen. I mean, my parents came here from Mexico
Cool.
like 50 years ago now or something,
Yeah.
and so we still have our family house there. My mom still lives there. Um, and I love Chicago. I love the city. I love to travel.
Mhm.
But yeah, every time I do, I'm like, every time I even think about moving somewhere,
Yeah.
I'm like, I love it here. I love to visit
Mhm.
other places. The food is a big one. The food in Chicago is incredible.
What's your favorite?
Man, I right now recently I have been really into, I'll say recently because I feel like it's always changing.
Always.
I just discovered a spot called Dirk's
Uh-huh.
Fish,
Wow.
and they also have some like vegan stuff. It's mostly fish though,
Yeah, yeah.
but they have a little vegan section, which is nice for vegan people. Um, and they're great. And I just heard one of my favorite spots is closing called Bloom,
Wow.
and they were entirely plant-based, vegan, gluten-free. Um, and yeah, I guess they're closing soon, so I'll have to pop in there.
Yeah. Man.
Doves. I love Doves. They're amazing
Yeah.
and very kind of like Mexican inspired. They have a drink that's called a cantarito,
Ooh.
which every summer we'd go down to our hometown
Mm-hmm.
in Mexico, little rural town. There's like 1,000 people that live there,
Yeah.
and they just party for like a solid week.
That's so cool.
And the cantarito is one of like the drinks that everyone's drinking. And it comes in like a clay cup and it's got like pineapple, tequila,
Heavy.
uh like a grapefruit
Yeah.
soda or stuff like
That's
that.
awesome.
And it's got like the tahine rim and
Ooh.
salt and oh.
That's
And
awesome.
like, by the end of the week or even at the end of it in the morning, there's just
Yeah.
like shattered bits of
Clay.
cantaritos everywhere. So, and I've never seen anywhere sell one except for like my hometown. So
Oh.
to see that there is like really awesome.
Yeah.
And I love that. And the people who work there are all really, really
That,
great.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Continue with growing up in Chicago.
Yeah. My food wrecks.
No, no, you're fine.
But
I
I
always
loved it. And
kind of
it's
go, I veer off and I go, okay, let's get back on the road. I do that all the time. So,
yeah. It's changed a lot, obviously. There's like a lot of gentrification.
mhm.
My parents have been there for so long that when they first moved there, the neighborhood we were in was a very brown neighborhood, and
Yeah.
over time that's got pushed further west.
Hmm.
So, yeah, my parents owned restaurants. My dad was also had like a nonprofit organization,
Hmm.
community space for the people in our hometown, and
What kind of nonprofit? I mean, if he still has it going on, I
I mean, it
can.
was like a community center.
Okay, community set. Got it. Okay.
Of the for the people who are from our state
Mm.
there. It's like a social club
Cool.
kind of, and they over time got to do a lot of cool stuff. They got the government to match their donations, like one for one, two for one, three for, where
Um,
they help build roads or provide school buses
cool.
to kids and medical supplies, et cetera, things like that. And there's a scholarship in his name. Um, so growing up here was fun. My dad was into a lot of also was like into politics,
Mhm.
and I also grew up listening to a lot of the bands you've already mentioned, but especially as a band, I know the other homies like we were really inspired by like Rage Against the Machine and System of a Down was huge for me. Um, Nine Inch Nails, obviously. It wasn't as like overtly political, but definitely it's in there.
Later on, I think again we talk about the Bush administration. It
Yeah.
kind of picked up after that with like part of it with Teeth, and then Year Zero was
Year
death.
zero was huge.
I
Year
love that album.
zero, I wish people could I I feel bad for the people who weren't there to
I
experience Year
know.
Zero as it was happening
Yeah.
and only got into the band after the fact because everything leading up to that album is forever like goals and aspirations. Like if I could do anything an eighth as cool
I know.
as that Year Zero campaign was, I
Yeah,
would be
the
happy.
USB plus everybody kept finding them at shows, and the way that he set up this sort of alternative reality through online, it was just and that album just totally it rejuvenated something in me musically when because I mean of course it was always the Fragile and but when I heard that one I just went oh my god like it did something to me and it's
Yeah.
definitely one of my favorite. I mean you got I mean they got so many great albums but that one just it holds like a weird special place in my heart. It's such a great album.
I love it. It
Yeah,
was great. And they put a lot of it on the new Nine Inch Noise album, which I
I
think is also
know
very telling.
it
I
is.
think it's very intentional
Yes.
of what he wants to say at this time and put out there. And again, like put it in a way that we can dance to it. That's something that I really resonated with. I saw this interview with Saul Williams, who also
Oh yeah, I love
like
Saul Williams. Yeah.
inspired Year Zero, and they put out Nicky Tardust.
Yep.
Um, and I even saw him at Riot Fest, and he's like, "This is not a riot," which is a great speech. I recommend anyone watch that Riot Fest speech. And he's
I'll pull
like,
that up.
"Yeah." So he's talking about like how even in hip hop, they say what needs to be said in a way that we're nodding to it. We're
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Agreement
actually,
in unison as a group, like
that's
to go,
right.
yes, yes.
Yeah, and for so many people to come together around that and feel that. And Chicago has a rich history of the May Day is coming up, and we have like a monument to the May Day martyrs that happened like in Chicago here, and there's a cemetery that has a lot of their graves there. Um, and on May Day they do some groups gather there and honor. honor their lives and things. And so so Chicago, I mean, living in Chicago is everything. And now, I mean, I could talk about growing up, etc. But the scene right now is also really incredible. I was like adjacent to the goth scene, but it really didn't feel like until I mean, after COVID, I guess I used to hang out a lot with like the yoga crowd
Yeah, sure.
and do ecstatic dances and stuff and be like the goth amongst the hippies.
That's cool. There's
And I
always
would
one.
like still go to Nocturna and stuff,
Yeah.
but I didn't like know as many people. And since Gravelove has started,
Mhm.
the Chicago goth scene page started around the same time.
Oh wow.
And they were inspired by having a hard time finding shows to go to.
Oh, it's
And
tough.
so
Yeah.
they made this page, Chelsea and Nat, who have also been on a fair amount of they're getting a lot of recognition. Well deserved. They've been incredible and doing incredible stuff for the community and with the community. And I got to do an interview with them also. And the Gravelove show debut was one of the first like goth shows that they came out to.
Whoa.
And so we
How was
like
that? If you don't mind me veering off, how was your? Because I was like bringing up that sort of first show experience. Tell me about your like your first show, the nerves. You know what I mean? Like you're all nervous and jittery. Like tell me about that. Especially not that, but the first sort of like here's our group goth show. Tell me. I don't mean to pull off to the side of the
yeah,
road,
no,
but I love hearing these type of stories. So tell me about that first.
totally. Um, I had been performing alone
Okay.
for a while, and there were a couple songs that Hector even like wrote
Mm-hmm.
with me, um, that I did on my own at, just friends would invite me out to a thing that they were doing, putting on like a little warehouse DIY
Oh,
event.
those are always fun.
I did get to play at Elbow Room before
Oh,
they closed, which is now Book Club, I
huh.
believe, which is a new space. It's also very like community owned.
Okay, cool.
I'm very excited about that space. I actually haven't been there, but there's like a brand new, but they're in the Elbow Room space.
I'll look into that. Yeah.
And I've got like a theater background and all that jazz. So performing itself is like, I love performing. I love being out there. The guys had a little more stage fright. And we started playing live because Roger moved from Arizona.
Oh,
Or
wow.
no, he's not Arizona. He was in Denver.
Denver. Yeah, that's right. Colorado. Yeah.
In Colorado. He wanted to move to Arizona. But he was in Denver and
Yeah.
he moved back. And I was like, we're all here.
Let's do this.
What if we put a show together? And before then, we would record stuff just over the internet.
Mm-hmm.
We'd send files back and forth and just
Mm-hmm.
cut our part. And those demos, Angel and Yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
never even got mixed and mastered professionally. That was just super DIY on our own. And we never played them live. They never came together live. We never played them live. And so we had to rearrange and just kind of reconstruct some of those songs for the show, which was a lot of fun. Like Angel has changed a lot live, and we put out a live version
Mm-hmm.
that we got at the Bottom Lounge show that we played with Tifadelic and Imperfections. Um, and so we were like, they wanted to wait and like literally like let's figure out the songs. And I was like, listen, I'm gonna book out a show like 3 months ahead from now. Like we can put it off and put it off and put it off.
Yeah, you could always put it's like
And
once
I was
once
like,
yeah, once it's
I
hot, jump
I
on.
know.
Yeah.
I was like, I think we can do it. I think we're close enough.
Yeah.
And we did. And we asked the guys from Iron Years, who they're locals.
Mm-hmm.
They're they're such a staple for the community. They've done a lot too. Benny and Rafa.
Mm-hmm.
Benny just opened up a new bar called
Oh,
New
wow.
Rose in Pilsen, which is awesome. And it's been great to have another space, especially on like a little more on the south side for people to join.
Cool.
And Rafa puts on Operating Tracks, which is I think like a first Friday of the month or more or less. And and so they were homies, and I was like, they kind of took us under their wing.
That's cool.
Um, when we were like, hey, we're a brand new band, we
We're
don't know
starting.
anything, and Rafa was like, yeah, of course, I got you, and was really close with the guy with Dave from Livewire.
Hmm.
Um, and we put together a show. We invited our friends from um, Grand Rapids, a band called Strange Skin.
Hmm.
They're like a post-punk industrial band. They're super dope. Love them. You all should check them out. Shout out to Strange Skin and Iron Ears. And so we asked Scary Lady Sarah to DJ, and we invited my friend Garrett as part of a video
Hmm.
kind of production group called Video Waste. And they do a lot of the visuals for a lot of bands, events, etc., and other corporate gigs. But they do small scale stuff for their homies, and
That's awesome. I like
and
hearing
so we had a little video projection there. And for me, the first show was more about like promoting, um, because that's tough. Like you can put on a show and being on stage is fine for me, but everything like leading up to that is
oh, yeah.
it's just work like anything else. Like there's the art of the craft, but then it's still a job and work, and and like I feel like we can get away with not viewing it that way, and some artists maybe are like just want to focus on the music, and that's fine. But it's still work, and it's still a job, and you still need to put up flyers and promote and take the
Real
promo
street work.
pictures
Yep.
and do that whole thing. And we did an amazing job. Shout out to um, our street team, myself, and our girlfriends at the time. Um, and
Mm.
yeah, and we had a great turnout,
That's great.
which was really awesome. And it was a great show. And I
Really.
just rewatched that footage, and it is wild to see how much we've grown
That's you
since
crying.
then.
Yeah.
And to
It's
still think back then, I was like, we killed it. But then I was
yeah.
like, oh God, like, you look back and how much how much better you've gotten, and you're like, damn, maybe we weren't that great as we thought at the time. But it was nice, and people seem to continue to enjoy it and turn up, and so it's been good.
That's awesome. It's I always like hearing about certainly because I mean my first show was just like I opened for like some pop punk band, but I did like like live electronic music, so it was like a weird like hodgepodge of like bands, and it was near the end. We had a venue out here called Creepy Crawl, and it
Um,
kind of started kind of fading a little bit, and they were kind of hanging on. But yeah, it was such a weird show, and I look back on it now, and I was just like, oh. I tried to do like a cover of "The Great Destroyer" from Nine Inch
oh,
Nails. No, oh
sick.
my god, it was. I hated my voice at the. I was just like, what am I doing? But it
That
was.
drop in The Great Destroyer goes.
Oh, see, that was it. That was what I was just like.
I saw it in 2014 when they did it here, and my jaw just like dropped live.
It was. That's again. It's, that, and I love that drop and just it's just pure chaos in the drums and the synthesis. I was like, that's got to be my first.
That's dope.
And it was just it was one of those things where it's just yeah. So, but no, that's cool that like that first show was like successful, and it just felt like it was like the birth or the turning point for like a Chicago goth community. You know what I mean? Like it's something that's kind of rumbling, and
I mean,
it's
it was all rumbling, like
yeah.
it's all been rumbling, and there's an awesome, amazing, amazing, amazing scene here.
Oh
I love being here, and I hear people from out of town who are like, we don't have this where we're at,
yeah.
and it's a lot more competitive or nitpicky or catty, whatever it is you want to talk about it. Not to say that none of that exists, but it's very evidently a very supportive place, and I'm really grateful to share stage with a lot of really awesome bands out here, and that we're all friends and hanging out. Um, and sometimes it still feels like a really small scene.
Okay.
And so something I'm conscious of a lot of is trying to play bills that feel fresh. And as much as I love playing with the homies, I try to give plenty of space between playing with a band I've played before, and sometimes it's really hard because I'm like, oh, there's it is such a big city, but it feels like such a small scene
That
sometimes,
makes sense. Okay.
and there's new bands coming out.
Oh, yeah.
My friends are in Damn It, just have played their like first two or three shows,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like death rock, big death rock energy, and it
Rocket.
is incredible. Everyone go check out Damn It.
Yeah, I'll write that one.
Um, and their live show is a, a tornado. It's just like a is a force of nature.
That's good.
It's incredible, and
Keep
like
that interview going.
and seeing like such energy in a live show, so just it was awesome.
It's good still out there.
They're awesome.
Next time I go out to Chicago, I want to go. I've been dying to go see the post punk industrial,
Oh yeah, I've yet to
Martin
go.
Atkins Museum. I had him on the podcast, and I've always loved everything he does. But it's just like I'm like anytime I think it would just because all those bands and everybody he's worked with was such like an inspiration to me, and I'm like I'd probably like kind of like have a weird emotional moment when I step into there. If you could just seeing all those artifacts and all those
Yeah.
those bands and all their props and everything like or not props but instruments and
I think I just saw he got one of the Year Zero cell phones.
yes, yes,
And for people who don't know, again, I think there's like a YouTube video where they like break some of this
break it,
down, but you had to be there because
so
there was
crazy.
just so much. All the websites that there were like 150 different websites that they made. Like you could explore and read that were like so fleshed out and yeah, they just posted they got this cell phone that you had to like you go on a scavenger hunt from the clues that you got from the website that came from the USB, and then you would get handed like a cell phone and then get a call that led you to this secret show that they played
Yep.
that then got like fake rated, if I remember
Hmm.
correctly, by
Yes.
like the fake SWAT
I
team.
forgot about that. Yeah.
God damn it. I'm like so mad I wasn't there. I mean, like I was there, but I wasn't at the show.
Yeah.
I'm glad I was there for the whole
Experience like you
one of
took
the best.
you take everything in. I mean it was one of those things where um you kind of had to sit back and kind of observe it, vicariously. I mean, here in St. Louis, but it was just, there's certain spots where it's just like, and you just kind of watched everything just kind of unfold online, and the whole community coming together, and Nine Inch Nails fans, and I'm just like, it's so intricate, and it's just like, God, how did he pull that off? Like between touring and making music, I wonder if
Yeah.
it was his
Rob Sheridan.
yes, thank you. Yeah, it was Rob. I think.
Yeah, Rob Sheridan was a huge thing, and I forget the name of like the company that they worked with
Mm-hmm.
also.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
It wasn't just Trent. Although I joked the other day, I saw a thread where someone asked if he had someone to like put all the cornstarch on him, and he said I'd do it myself,
I saw.
and I was like, yes, my favorite DIY artist.
Yeah,
But no, I mean the whole Nine Inch Nails team is incredible, and Rob Sheridan, I'm kind of mad, not mad. I wish Rob Sheridan was still working
Nine
with
Inch Nails.
them.
Yeah, he was working with
Um,
Pearl Jam recently. I
I don't
kind of
know.
follow his stuff
Oh
on.
yeah,
Yeah, he did like the visuals for the Pearl Jam tour recently, but
right. Because he's an incredible visual artist
I
too, and
love the glitch stuff, man. He's so good,
yeah.
good, and yeah, I had something, and I was gonna. Oh, with the
We were talking
cornstarch.
about the museum and the cornstarch and the
Yeah,
cell
yeah.
phone,
So
and
it was funny
just
because
back to year zero.
people were going online talking about the cornerstone. Like if anybody remembers the early years with the '94 Destruction tour, and they were like all in this dressing room just throwing cornstarch on each other and just kind of rolling around in it and shit like that. I'm like the true fans know the cornstarch deal because I was watching the Coachella and I started like I started taking notes. I was like, okay, all black cornstarch. I'm like, he's
Yeah,
going back, and then the dancers looked like they were covered in mud, which
right.
reminded me of the Woodstock,
Yeah,
and I posted something online about stepping back and seeing like a whole new generation discover Nine Inch Nails for the first time. I saw some guy post, "Holy shit, the Slip was a free album." I was like, "Oh my god!" I was like, that was like 2009, like wasn't it? Yeah, like when that album dropped, everybody
Yeah, I
freaked
think
out. Was like, oh my
so.
god, free music! Like, oh,
So
it's
here you
crazy
go.
seeing everybody. I mean, it was just that Coachella performance that it just everybody was going, what the fuck? Like you know, most people who just heard Nine Inch Nails and blurbs of like best '90s band, this, that, and the other. But seeing that, I think people are just like, oh my god, there's so much more to this band, and it's funny seeing it unfold on like Thread and everything like that, where people are going, oh my god, this Nine Inch Nails band, and it's just like, I'm like, I wish I could like rediscover all that for the first time. That was, oh man,
Yeah.
so envious. I love it. So, but yeah, let's go back. Chicago, growing up. Um,
Chi-town.
you tell me about. You said you worked with in like community or theater background and stuff like that. Kind of give me like a background of like just kind of growing up and going to
Yeah,
school and kind of what you got involved in, and then how you started doing music. Just kind of give me like
for sure.
the building blocks. So,
Yeah. I went to Catholic school, which
whoa,
is a huge part of how I ended up the way that I ended up. Uh,
yeah,
Fronting a vampire band, I guess.
yeah,
Because this dude was out here we're drinking blood every
hmm
week, and it was like, okay, that's fun, and listening to goth music and stuff,
yeah,
and also like, I always say that I kind of survived Catholicism in some ways. And I was an altar server,
okay,
which was fun, which felt sincere, in a way that there's a lot of reverence there. Um, and I remember hearing a priest say, like, if a candle was lit, it means that like God is there. And
hmm.
I still feel that way when I light a candle, for someone who's died or on
Hmm.
my own, and I've removed myself from this idea of God that's like a big man in the sky and, delved a lot more into like Buddhism and Hinduism and
Hmm.
just more esoteric, other esoteric or occult ideas of what that might be. And the other thing we have in Chicago is the Smashing Pumpkins. And my brother and my cousins introduced my brother to the Smashing Pumpkins. And so they were huge growing up. I remember being on the playground at recess, just kind of like on my own, listening to, I think the first, I had, the Walkman, and I
Okay.
had the left disc of the Fragile
Yeah.
on that Walkman and would listen vicariously and also, on my own, a lot of the Smashing Pumpkins music. And yeah, I had two older brothers and a younger sister.
Hmm.
Um, and my brother played a lot of music. He was in bands when he was in high school.
Oh,
And
cool.
so I also grew up going to see his band play at a little DIY venue
Hmm.
before I was even allowed to go to any real shows.
It sneak you in.
Yeah, and or like catch a little bit of his band practice with his friends. And yeah, sometimes hate to admit that I was a theater kid, but
It's okay. No, I grew up in community theater,
I
and it's funny because
know.
you brought up Catholicism. I grew up
Uh,
in the mega church setting.
oh wow.
Wasn't proud of it, but we were me and my brother were in the drama team, and I was the drummer for the church band, and then I
Oh,
was the
cool.
drummer for the pastor's son had his own band, and this that. So believe me, I understand.
Yeah.
I kind of grew up in the theater and the whole drama team, and yeah, so I get it.
Yeah, no, totally. And in eighth grade, I was in a musical. I did Guys and Dolls.
Nice.
And I think that was the first time I was like singing
Hmm.
that I can remember, like on a stage, and I think I always my mom always says I would put together little sketches for me and my cousins to do at, Thanksgiving or whatever, and make little props and costumes and things.
Yeah.
And still, like I'm on stage and I'm like, okay, I need my props and costumes and
Hmm.
things, and you need it. It's a show, and then in high school, I continued. I did some choir. Um, I did tech also. I did a lot of the. I was just like really involved in the theater program, whether we were building stuff
That's cool.
painting stuff,
Yeah.
or I was singing and dancing.
Mm.
And I took a music class and kind of taught myself. It was like a music class, but everyone was kind of being self-guided
Hmm.
under the discretion of, the teacher.
Yeah.
And so I mostly taught myself piano
Okay.
um, at that time, and just like from their songbook and on YouTube mostly. I never really learned how to like read or write music very well. I did for like a little bit, but I just kind of stopped. At some point, like my proficiency level was far beyond, reading ABCs when you're like trying to philosophize, like you're just like I can't do this.
I get that.
And so I kind of gave up on that. And also my other brother's now wife,
Hmm.
back then they were just dating. She was also a music teacher, and so I even took lessons, some lessons from her.
Cool.
Um, and yeah, I mean, at some point I convinced my dad to buy me a piano.
Piano like synthesizer, like a
No,
keyboard.
like
Oh,
an
full.
acoustic, an upright,
Wow.
um, Cristofori, and we got it at some piano store that was like, going out of business, and so we got like an
Right.
incredible deal
Yeah.
on this upright piano, and because I had been learning on like one of those like learn to play Casios, it's like play along Casios where like the buttons would light up and like have like the top 40 hits of the last 40 years,
Remember that? Yep.
um, which was fun. And so those are very different to learn on, obviously. And I was like, I need a real something.
Real thing. Yeah.
And so I did, and that was huge. I convinced him. I was like, I play a lot. I would play even more
Hmm.
if I had this, much to my sister's dismay. Like, shut up.
Stop it.
No, literally, like while she's watching, whenever she was watching, just
Mhm.
brum, brum, brum.
Yep.
Um, and so yeah, I mean, piano was like my first instrument. I never learned guitar.
Yeah.
Um, I know like two or three chords on a guitar, and it just never really did that. I just kind of stuck with the piano, and again, like Nine Inch Nails was huge, and
Yep.
I don't listen to them as much anymore, but I was super into Muse as
Mm,
well.
yeah. Hmm. Yep.
Like Matt Bellamy was a big inspiration, and
Early
the
early Muse, like the
early Muse, yeah, like Absolution
Black
was
Holes and
incredible.
Revelations and
Even before then,
oh, before like
yeah.
is it Absolution?
Absolution. I had
Yeah.
the Absolution songbook, and
Is
then
it
before that was
Symmetry?
Showbiz. No, Origin of Symmetry.
Origin Symmetry. Okay.
Um, all incredible.
Yeah.
Showbiz was really great. They're
Hmm.
like, kind of dirtier sound,
I like that. Yeah. Before they
which
tried
was
to sound
really
like
great.
Radiohead, like yeah.
Yeah, and then like Origin of Symmetry was also great.
Yeah.
Absolution was phenomenal, and then after that, like when Knights of Sidonia came out, it felt a lot more
Yeah.
commercial.
Yeah, I think so too.
And it's still great and still catchy, I guess. I just kind of grew out of it.
That's fine.
But it was still a huge inspiration. So
That's
that's
good.
a lot of what I was playing and learning.
Cool.
Um, and even singing. Like I don't know how sometimes I can really pinpoint my influences when I listen to some of my music, and sometimes I think I'm like, yeah, you could tell I listened to
I'm
some.
like that too. There's certain things where I'll go back and I'll go, okay, I was inspired. Like it was some of the weirdest stuff where I went back and started listening to like old, soundtracks and stuff. And then I think there was something that came out in the '90s called Jock Jams, which is
Mm,
all the songs that they would play and during sports stuff. And my brother had a copy of that, and it was like, okay, that might have been one of the building blocks of like electronic dance music, like that. Why I started, dabbling in like drum machines and shit like that. Where it's like, okay, there's these little, you start to know, like, you think back of all the things you used to listen to, and go, okay, that's probably why I like that and that. Like, I'd start doing this whole like, this whole map of like, okay, that's why. I love doing that.
yeah. Sometimes after the fact, sometimes very evidently.
Hmm.
Sometimes I'm writing something and I prefer to be conscious of when I'm putting an influence into something because then I can put my own spin on it.
Yeah.
The worst is when you're writing a song, and I'm sure this happens to everybody, and you're like, this is cool. And then like 2 seconds later, you're like, oh, this is this one song, and you're like, God damn
I'm
it,
totally
like,
ripping off this or cookie cutter type
yeah,
thing.
you're like, fuck, and it's so frustrating when it happens, but
I've
you
done that
can't
so
help
much.
it, and that's
Like,
part of like,
yeah,
being inspired and taking in that information
yeah.
and then reinterpreting it.
Yeah, because I always noticed that I did that with like a lot of Nine Inch Nails stuff, where it was just like when I started really getting into like, production and digital audio workshops and stuff like that, and certain drum beats and stuff. I was just like, I was totally ripping off Trent Reznor on this one. I was like, I'm glad I never put this out because I was
Oh,
like,
I
oh,
mean, like so many of us are, like, it's
I
hard
know,
not to.
yeah,
Like, and at this point, even with the movie soundtracks and everything,
oh,
like, he's a cultural, icon in that regard, and that audio footprint is massive. You can't avoid it. And actually, Scorched Earth, the chorus for Scorched Earth was like directly inspired by Head Like a Hole. And if you
wow,
listen to it, the Head Like a Hole, black as your soul, the drive a stake through your heart, serve your head on a plate. Like,
that's awesome.
I mean, and I feel wild just even admitting this, but I don't care. Like, it is what it is, and I think that's what artists do. And um, because I for that chorus, I wanted something really punchy and strong, and that song specifically has some lore to it. Um, I will say a friend of mine had been arrested protesting,
Hmm.
and when he got into the cop car, they were playing Head Like a Hole. Very ironically, and like, he asked them to turn the volume up, and the cop was like, "Oh, I love this band." And it's just like, Jesus, dude, you're like, you know, like trying to relate over
Yeah,
9 Inch Nails in the cop car, and my friend
that's wild.
got, arrested, but got let go.
Yeah,
Um, and then shows up to the goth night to Nocturna and tells us a story. And I go up to Sarah and I'm like, hey, this happened. Like, our friend just got arrested and released and still showed up to the
for the
club.
show, nice.
And I was like, can you play Head Like a Hole? And she was like, yeah, I played it like the next song. And
Yeah,
we were like this close to picking him up and just carrying him on our shoulders and everything. It was a really awesome moment. So that's a little bit on the lore of Scorched Earth too, is
yeah.
that like that song meant something in that moment also, and wanted to draw from that as well.
The inspiration. That's so wild. It's so weird when certain people that you can find common ground on someone that you're like again with the cop and everything, and even just some people that be like um they're very much like in the sort of right wing, but they're like, oh yeah, I'll throw on some Rage Against the Machine, and you're like, okay, like
It's really wild,
it's,
and I'm like,
yeah,
yeah,
I get
it's
it.
incredible
I
how
get it.
how dense some people can
I
be.
know, right? And it's just it's yeah. So you were talking about piano.
Hmm.
Did you kind of start upgrading? Were you kind of doing, like digital audio workshops or synth, like anything like that when you were kind of like working on, anything that was? Did you have like a pre Grave Love project or any music before that, or was that? Yeah, tell me about that.
Yeah, so most of it was like I didn't have a lot of equipment.
Hmm.
I had like a hacked version of Logic.
Yep.
Um, and again, my brother was a musician and audio engineer, and so I'd often go to him and just chat about technical stuff and would mostly, I mean, some of my earliest stuff, just learning how to produce, you like play the MIDI keyboard from the keys on the laptop.
Hmm.
The software instrument, and then got a MIDI cable,
Yeah.
and then get like a new piano and then kind of play around with that. But a lot of that earlier stuff was like straight just like out of Logic on the laptop. And yeah, and I didn't even start doing, I mean, I guess as a musician, I had written a lot of stuff just on the piano, just like acoustic.
Like all instrumental type stuff? Are you doing any songwriting, or is it all instrumental?
Um, a blend, a
Okay.
blend of stuff. I mean, before I was performing, I would just have songs on the piano,
Okay.
and because I was hanging out with the hippies, which I do not anymore. That's a different story, but
Can we take
I
note of
also
that to bring up later, or you just want to go ahead and leave that where it's at?
I had a ukulele that I would play around the
Yeah.
campfire and would like write campfire songs basically with the
Sure.
homies. Um, and then yeah, I would do more electronic stuff. And that was even like 2018. Like it didn't even
Okay.
feel like that soon before like the pandemic and COVID hit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I mostly did stuff under my own name. There was one performance I did under the name of Apathy,
Mm-hmm.
that a friend who owned a theater and was like part of this theater company put on like a goth night. And she like showed me the flyer, and I was like, that flyer is not gonna work. Let's make a new one. So we made a new one, very inspired actually by that Bauhaus
Oh,
shirt.
okay, cool.
But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the flyer I made was like very much like just like a figure in
Like a German
white, like
expressionist type.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
love Caligari, all that
Oh, yeah.
jazz.
Me too. Yep.
Um, and I remember Scary Lady Sarah showed up to that performance. And
Wow.
I was just performing by myself, backtracks, and just me and my mic.
Okay, cool.
I did have some projections, which was fun. I had a friend who helped put together some visuals back in 2018 for a different show, and then for that show, I added some new ones in. So there was like the smallest amount of production live wise in that regard, but it was still pretty bare bones. And I was still performing some stuff that Hector had recorded on.
Oh, okay, cool.
And so, um, yeah, I was never like playing live until like live until the band. And
So brave love. Yeah.
so yeah, yeah. And I've done like sound baths and stuff.
Okay.
A year or two ago, I got commissioned to make a track for like a psychedelic therapy album.
Huh.
The Sauna Collective here in Chicago, which is really cool.
Wow. Hmm.
To just write music for psychedelics. That was a lot of fun.
Is it like what you listen to during a sort of like,
Yeah,
sort of like a dosed therapy session type thing?
yeah,
I didn't know
yeah.
that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And like, what would it just be like? Soft pads and just kind of anything to kind of just keep it, keep it level. Like keep the vibe level. So
Yeah.
there's no like
Well,
like
right,
yeah.
right. Um, I'm like, damn, there's a lot to this story. So actually, I was hanging out with hippies. I went to massage school
Okay.
and I did my yoga teacher training.
Hmm.
Um, I found yoga at the theater school in 2010. We were required to do yoga, and so that's how I got into yoga
Yeah.
by my teacher Gabriel Halpern, who studied with BKS Iyengar, who's like one of the grandfathers of modern yoga.
Cool.
So it's cool to be in that lineage and be introduced to yoga in a very authentic and sincere way also. And so when I graduated from massage school and was doing yoga, I was have you ever listened to spa music? It's the worst.
Yeah. 100%.
You
Yeah.
know,
I tried doing like this sort of because I would do yoga. Sometimes I do, if I have time. I was kick myself for not being part of it because I would do it daily, and then meditation, and I
yeah,
would listen to sort of like chakra type based
yeah.
meditation sounds and
Binaural beats,
yes, yeah, yeah. So you got it. So yeah, I've
666 hertz.
yes, yes, yes. You're speaking my language. So yeah,
Yeah.
I used to. I mean, it was at a time when I just really going through a lot of stuff, so it really just kind of helped me center me,
Hmm.
better and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, believe me, I understand
So,
the sounds.
so I got tired of listening to, like the piano renditions of the top 40 hits in the spa room.
Yep.
And I made my own massage music, which was a lot of fun, and I released that in 2020, um, as like a meditation, sleep, ambient album.
That's cool.
Again, like all digital. I didn't really have any like equipment. Like all of that was just instruments that were on Logic,
Mm-hmm.
um, and composed and crafted there. And and that's how I got involved with the the psychedelic group, is that I was working as a massage therapist and someone asked if I would be open um to working in combination with, you know, administered through people who were prescribed
Mm-hmm.
ketamine
Of
and
course.
worked with a therapist. And
Yeah.
so and then they heard I was, a musician and
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
made this ambient album and really liked that ambient album. Um, and then yeah, they asked me to write that one song, which was a lot of fun. So yeah, I have, yes, made a lot of songs and also ambient
Yeah.
things. These like
Cool.
20-minute long just
Stop.
soundscapes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Soundscapes. Yeah.
And there's influence there. And one of those, there's a little bit of, again, Year Zero, the another version of the truth.
Yep.
Oh, that piano line is like,
Yeah.
oh, and then there's a little bit from the Black Star Bowie
Oh.
track.
Yeah.
It's like real sneaky in there,
Sneak it in there.
and like you got to know if you're really listening for it. But those influences are always all over the music and
I did a.
little ways.
I did recently. I put out. It was. I was. Uh, I was away from music for a while, just working with the family, and I was kind of building the podcast or whatever. And I did. I was heavily inspired by Italian horror and giallo films. The sort
Mm,
of crime, leather glove, that type of stuff. And then I wanted to create a sort of soundtrack for for a movie that hasn't come out yet. It's like all in my head or whatever. And I did one. Nobody's brought it up. No, I don't think anybody's ever noticed. But I did a very stripped down version of Dark Entries by
oh, cool.
Bauhaus, where it's very like muted, soft drums and the bass, and it's on this nice like Vox organ type thing. So a lot of now I've always kind of just stepped back and go, I wonder if anybody's ever going to notice that. But it's the same, like it's literally just my cover of Dark Entries. I love that song. It's one of my favorites.
Solid.
And yeah, I wanted to just be like, okay, let me see if anybody noticed. But yeah, I was like kind of sneaking little things in like that where it's just like, I wonder if anybody will notice that.
Little Easter eggs.
Easter eggs. There you go. That's it.
Yeah.
Funny. So, like, tell me about the sort of progression in your songwriting process, because I know you said you would kind of write these songs, and tell me where you were like you started kind of building the comfort of what is grave love and very vampire inspired songs and lyrics and just even that sort of theatrics. Tell me about where you, because some people when they go through the sort of songwriting process, they're kind of writing for the wastebasket where they go, okay, I got the song idea, that fucking sucks, and you throw that out. Tell me about your sort of process and progression on writing lyrics.
Um, I had an idea for this concept that I was working on before Grave Love, very much inspired. I mean, like, this sort of how do you say it, like autobiographical fantasy,
Sure. Yeah.
where so much in yoga um and Buddhism and things
Hmm.
talks about immortality.
Hmm.
And I had the question of like, if vampires live so long forever, there's got to be one who's found and practiced yoga, right? Like,
Of course. Yeah.
and
That makes sense.
what is that like? What is his story? And that was the main inspiration for what would later become Grave Love.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like Sanskrit chants in my music, and um kirtan was like a really big part of my yoga journey. And for those who are unfamiliar, kirtan is a form of devotional worship in India that they do. It's a like call and response where they chant the names of gods,
Hmm.
and there's a lot of really awesome kirtan bands here in Chicago.
Oh, really? Wow.
And I was at the yoga studio I was a part of was the kirtan event manager for a little while, and so that was a lot of fun, and I did a lot of kirtan, and so that was really important to me. And again, this idea of immortality and what that means
Yeah.
and what it means for someone who is immortal to have a spiritual practice. And so I wrote a couple of songs, and I had like I don't think any of them have become Gravelove songs.
Hmm.
Um, there have been ideas of some that have like transferred over
Sure.
lyrically, maybe like a little line or two for something. But those were a lot of the stuff that I was writing. And because again, like vampires can suit the needs of any generation and time that they're in to reflect so many different things.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, and it's not always like strictly, about a vampire, but it's like I'm using that framework to look at other parts of life through that lens, and how does that relate? And that's like the theatric bit, but not to say things aren't real. And a lot of times when I'm writing lyrics, they're very personal, or I draw from, grief, like again, like just
Sure.
as a place of like I need to process an emotion, a feeling, um, and put this out there. And so we used to write more in ways where I would get sent a more or less finished instrumental.
Hmm.
So like for Angel came out that way where Hector, like right after we met, gave me this huge folder of audio tracks, and he doesn't sing, so they're all instrumental. And so I was like, damn, this kind of good stuff, dude.
Shit.
And so for Angel, I just wrote lyrics, um, added some synth and like little beefed up some of the drum parts, and I was like, cool, that's Angel, basically. And nowadays I work with mostly I have two instruments, the Roland JDXI,
Ooh, yeah.
which was Hector's. I do have my own now. So I have two JDXIs, like my backup JDXI.
Mhm.
Um and and then a Yamaha CK88, which is just a stage, you know, full full, you know,
Mhm.
88 keys. And that has some fun sounds in it. Again, it's kind of limited. I feel like I underutilize both all the time.
Anybody who buys a synth, they just go, I
I
feel like
know
I don't use it as much as I should. Yeah.
there's so much. There's so much
Yeah.
in there. I do have a Moog grandmother.
Ooh, nice.
It has yet to make an appearance
Okay.
in a track, and I definitely wouldn't bring that out live.
It's a heavy sound
It is a and a heavy
and a
instrument,
heavy instrument.
and I'm like, I do not want to, have all this stuff. So,
All that around all the time. Yeah, I
but
get.
at home, I will jam with those three stacked, and then I'll send it over to the guys, and they may or may not be like, well, and so we've been moving very slowly, and we usually stuff that does end up getting written tends to be out of a jam session. So
Cool.
Scorched Earth came out that way, and
Mhm.
and when we're jamming, I'll just improvise lyrics, um, and see what sticks. And so for Scorched Earth, what stuck out and what like resonated emotionally was the "Nothing you say will ever make me feel okay."
Wow.
And so that was like the heart of the song
Yeah.
that I built everything up around. Because I was like, there it is, just
Yep.
what David Lynch talks about, like fishing for ideas.
That comes up so much. Thank you. That's so funny because I'll bring that up. It feels like every podcast we always talk about David Lynch on the podcast.
Rest in
So,
peace,
rest in
legend.
peace. But I always go. David Lynch said, an idea as a gift, and to all,
Hmm.
no matter how crazy it is, how small it is, whatever, but take that gift and do what you can with it. That's so funny that you brought that up. Oh,
Yeah.
this is wild. Like, go ahead and continue.
Yeah. I mean, he also just incredible inspiration for
Oh,
so many people. It was really beautiful to see when he died, just how much love he had and how
I
much
didn't realize how many
inspiration.
people really just was like moved by David Lynch. Like,
Hmm.
you just go, oh my God, I didn't know so many people liked his work. Like,
Yeah.
no, but he was just so good, so smart, thought provoking. Just I like a director to kind of make me feel uncomfortable in a good way, not in a very disturbing way, but something that I go, well, wait a minute, let me think
Yeah.
about
It
that. And
challenges you in
yeah, it
some way.
challenges me. Yeah, I like that, and that's what he always did. No matter how, with Twin Peaks, there's that sort of balance of like comfort, but then there's that dark
Yeah.
undertone, and there's some you're going, okay, that's weird, but he just had that way of having that sort of weird balance, and it's I always
Hmm.
loved his work.
And also very into meditation and Buddhism. And
Transcendental meditation for sure. Yeah.
I loved hearing about, some of the Buddhist stuff in Twin Peaks.
Oh yeah.
Um, and it's in there. It's in his work
Early
too.
on, yeah.
Yeah,
Like when
really
you
early
bring it up,
on.
the that thing I can't remember what I think he was throwing a rock at a bottle or something like that.
Yeah, when they're
Yeah.
talking about like the lodge, and
Yes.
it's been a while. I can't exactly remember, but I
Yeah.
remember being like, "Ah,"
Yes. Yeah. You kind of pointed out. You go, oh, do the
yeah,
Leonardo
huh?
DiCaprio.
Yeah,
The
literally, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, yeah. God bless. God bless David
So
Lynch.
great.
Rest in peace. Thank you for all your work and that fishing for ideas
Yeah.
and like I feel like I know I've caught something when it resonates, and not every time, but I feel like it's not a Grave Love song until I've cried to it at some
Sure.
point.
Yeah. Of course.
Um, and and if I have cried to it, then I know that it's something worth pursuing.
Yeah.
Um,
Definitely.
and if it can make me emotional, then I hope it can make other people emotional, and that's a lot of what I hope to do.
Yeah.
Um, even if it's just for myself, honestly, and hopefully others. And I'm very conscious of the way we lose the ownership of a song when it is released.
When other people start taking it in and getting their own sort of
Yeah,
interpretation.
and
Yeah.
I hear a lot of artists talk about that kind of process, and so before it's out and released, I try to be like, what am I? I feel some sort of responsibility
Sure.
in the lyrics that I am writing. Like they're not just for myself, and I'm putting these words and thoughts into other people's minds and mouths,
Hmm.
and I don't take that lightly, and I don't want to take it lightly.
Of course.
Um, and so, yeah. So nothing you say will ever make me feel okay. Was that bit, and I was kind of tired of writing like love songs, even if they're like grief songs, whatever it is. And in some ways, Scorched Earth, I mean, it is a love song. Uh, it comes from that place of love, of
Of course.
of like, which again is the whole ethos behind the band, like Grave Love. It's like the greater our capacity to love, the greater our capacity is to grieve, and the more we love, the more we grieve.
Is it like an agape love or a love for people, a love for connection and understanding, that type of?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And yeah, like it's funny because like yes, I do love a grave. And I love cemeteries, but
Yeah, of
it's
course.
like
Yeah.
the gravity that
Yeah.
is love and what that comes with, and the risk and the loss that we have to be willing to experience in order to have it,
Yeah.
and how we can't cut ourselves off
Mm-mm.
to the pain of life without cutting ourselves off to the love of life either.
Yeah.
And so to get political and real, and to look at death in the face as a spiritual practice, opens us up to more love and pain simultaneously. And that's like
Yeah.
the art of that spiritual practice and that work. It's emotional work, it's
Mm.
spiritual work, it's community work, it's everything. a huge part of what I do. I co-founded. I don't think I've mentioned it here yet. What's called the Chicago Death Doula Collective.
Hmm.
And for the last 8 or 9 years, almost a decade now, I've been hosting these events called death cafes, where we talk about death, dying, and grief, just to have those conversations.
That's good.
And so, talking about death is one of, I think, the most important thing we can do for ourselves, and I think one of the most liberating things we can do. And we avoid it because it's scary, but at the end of the day, and from my experience firsthand with all these people, that nothing makes us appreciate life and savor life more than honest and sincere confrontation, or the embracing of mortality, of grief. And as much as losing my dad was one of the worst things to ever happen to me, it has also been one of the greatest gifts and blessings, of initiation
I could see
for
that.
me.
Yeah, because I lost my mom right after COVID, and after COVID, like she just started, her health was just declining so bad, and she was just like my rock. Like anytime I had like a weird shitty day at work, I'd give her a call, no matter how late it was and shit like that. And it was just like, but I was also, I got three daughters, so I would go to her for advice. I'm going, okay, because when it comes to having kids and teenagers, I go, okay, you know, but I'm a male, female, whatever. But I go, was I, I always go, was I like that at that age? How did you handle certain things? You know what I mean? So it's just one of those
Hmm.
things. Like when I lost my mom, it was just like, you really opened your eyes, and again, talking about death, you go, yeah, sometimes you got to talk through it. Not just that, but then you're going, okay, what am I making the best of my life while I'm still alive? What am I doing? Who am I
Yeah.
influencing? What am I saying? What am I putting out there in this world? Is it good? Is it bad? What can I do to change it? So yeah,
Hmm.
damn,
Yeah. And I had, yeah, I mean, dead parents.
it sucks. It
It
sucks.
sucks,
Yeah, it
and
sucks.
I, for as much as I had already been talking about this stuff, it's like I, I, I had no idea. Like I could only imagine. And I have a lot of compassion for people who've never lost a parent. And it's always very different. We all have different relationships
With our parents.
to our parents, but by and large, it's a big thing to move through.
Mhm.
And a lot of people have no idea, and I only had an inkling of an idea
Yeah.
of what I was in for, and to just be opened up to this whole new world, a whole new emotional landscape, just so many emotions and mixed emotions that I'm I'm grateful for. It's painful, Um, and something that was really comforting for me was just how common it is. It's like
Hmm.
people have been losing parents since forever.
Forever. Yeah.
And it's like, okay, if they've gone through it and it's just part of the,
Part of life.
natural order, as difficult as it is, and then it's what do you do with those feelings that you do, and where do you put them? And it's beautiful you have children to
Hmm.
also pass that love from your mother, from their grandmother, and
Yeah.
and then for children to learn about death. Some people still never even experienced the loss of a grandparent
Oh,
for
that's
a
crazy.
while, and
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
so
It's heavy.
it is, and it is
But it's life, you know what I mean? Like you get, and it's one of those things
right.
where it's like you can't ignore it. It's not good to kind of put these things on the back burner and compartmentalize. And it's that's great that you got that sort of group that you come together and go, okay, let's, because it's important. Like there's some people that'll, if they don't, if they lose a parent or they lose, a spouse or anything like that, it can go into some very, very destructive places. I don't want to get into it, but when after my mom passed away, my dad went very dark, and it's
Yeah.
something I'm still kind of dealing with. And but and I was encouraged. I'm like, if the loss that you feel is so heavy that you're wanting to go want to be destructive and hurt yourself and hurt other people, you should really find a group to sit and talk with and kind of talk everything out. Like therapy and group talks and stuff like this is very important to have, and have
Hmm.
that community together where you can, you know, talk everything out and kind of just come together as one, because you don't be alone in this, because it could be bad. You know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah.
it can go dark. Your brain can take you into some places that you don't want to go, you know.
And we don't live in a culture that's supportive to that grief.
Hmm.
You know, you have to get back to the grind, or people don't know how to deal with negativity because we live in a culture that prioritizes toxic positivity and just kind of putting on air and, saving face, whatever that means, And, they say it takes a village to raise a child. And I like to add that it also takes a village to bury a villager.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um, and it's really important, and some people like don't have that for a whole lot of reasons that aren't their fault or of their own, just again the culture, the society we live in makes these things, and I would go further to say by design, um makes it difficult and challenging and isolating for a lot of people.
Yeah. Let's get back on Grave Love. I'm sorry. Yeah, I always love going on these little deep talks about life and everything
I
like
mean, it's
that.
all part of it, like this,
Yeah,
for me, like this is grave love,
this is
like,
Grave Love. Yeah.
I wrote yesterday, um
Cool.
the song yesterday,
Hmm.
um, after a friend of mine died in quarantine,
Ooh,
which was the first quarantine death. It was like early on. It was like, yeah, when did that? It was like, yeah, March, April, like really early on.
that's scary.
Um, hmm And again, I had this instrumental that had been sent to me from the guys, and yeah, that's how yesterday came about. Of that loss, and then a couple months after that, my dad died,
Mm.
and I had the song that I had written that suddenly turned into a different song
Wow.
just from my relationship to
Okay.
it. Nothing changed, but I was like, oh, this hits different,
Hmm.
and I feel it differently. Um, and we have a song that's not out called "My Own Grave" that is one of the older songs that I wrote. Um, Even before I met Hector, just on the piano, and I wrote that one like as a love song
Uh,
originally, but I'm always kind of putting a different. I'm like, how can I give this a slightly different meaning or more open to interpretation? And sometimes it hits like a love song, and sometimes it hits like a grief song, and that hits me in a way,
I think it's
I
okay
mean,
to kind of keep that both in a weird way.
yeah, I mean, totally. I love
Keep the balance.
experiencing a song change, even for my own self that I wrote. It's like
Yeah.
this means something new to me now in a different context. And so, I'm often inspired when I'm writing lyrics by things I heard in a death cafe.
Hmm.
Someone will say something and that either really resonated with me or be like, you know what? I don't agree with what this person said, actually.
Yeah.
And and put that into a song.
There you go. Any plans on like a full length, or you guys just kind of like every little bit at a time type situation? Put little singles
Yeah,
out here and there.
there is. We're moving.
That's good.
Sometimes it feels like we are working on vampire time, and
Yeah.
we have all the time in the world.
Got all the time in the world. Immortality times.
But then I'm like, no, let's just keep it moving. And
Yeah.
it's been fun. And again, like we've only been around for 2 years,
I know.
and so in some ways, we've made a lot of ground live,
Yeah,
but
you have.
in the studio,
Yeah.
we're still like we still feel very fresh and like figuring out our rhythm and our groove and trying things out on our own, how much we're willing to spend.
Hmm.
whether it's on the recording or the mix, the master, etc. Um, just the process of like, okay, do we want to all do this together? Like, do we, and still feeling short of, I think, what I hear and experience when we're playing live
Hmm.
is a totally different thing to capture. And I think I think we're way better live. I'm happy with the recordings we've put out, but I'm like they don't still feel or sound the same. They have this different kind of energy and
That punch, that energy, that because there's so I mean that's great because it's like if you can blow your recordings out of the water by performing it live, I think that have you thought about like just like going, hey, let's do a live recording, like a set or whatever, and just kind of go, let's see how people kind of take that and kind of take it in and kind of see where we can kind of mold our sort of album based on what I
yeah.
mean because there's even it'd be great to do like a I know most people they'll do like recording tracks but doing like all right let's see if we can bring our live feel into the studio how certain
Hmm.
bands would try and translate that and but yeah I think it'd be cool like start with like a sort of here's a big show we got coming up let's record that and then just go okay how can we take that energy and kind of put it into an album
Yeah.
I think
And we will hopefully we're good we did record the Bottom Lounge
yeah
show,
oh sweet
and we are, and I think we'll only have it available to buy at shows
oh
as
cool
a CD
yeah
of that live set.
that's cool
And most of those things are out. We put out Mirada, we put out Scorched Earth, and Walked in Line. Those are all part of the set. And we're going to redo Angel and Yesterday
hmm
because those songs have changed and grown through playing them live.
yeah
And playing a song live is also part of ironing it out, I
yeah
think. And not just practicing the song, but finding what hits, what doesn't hit, and kind of
kind of
reworking it,
polishing it kind of polish
ironing it
it
out.
yeah
And then so by the time we do get to record, it's like we've been playing this song for a year or whatever it is, and you can really sink your teeth into it more. But yeah, I mean it's eventually it'll happen.
what was your sort of natural attraction to going because I mean you talked about certain bands you were kind of drawn to what was it about the goth music that you went I feel this like this is my music this is my time like what was it about just goth music in general that you went this is it you know what I mean does that make sense
Yeah, it felt sincere, it felt raw, it felt vulnerable, intimate.
yeah
Again, like we've talked so much about Nine Inch. They're my
hmm.
Trent Nine Inch Nails are
Trent, oh my god yeah
one of my
I'll
top
talk
influences of all time by far. Along with like Tool and Maynard, I think is another really huge
perfect circle
influence.
for sure
A
is
Perfect Circle and Pussifer, like all of the like everything they do, everything they both do is just
everything's amazing
always incredible. And again, like lyrically, especially A Perfect Circle.
yeah
Tool's a little headier, but A Perfect Circle is such an emotional album, and I think I gravitate towards that. And not to say that like happy pop music isn't sincere. I think it can be. I don't want to bash pop music.
no not at all
But when you're in a mood, it doesn't feel good because
Mhm.
it's not aligned with what you're feeling,
It's not hidden when it should be.
And so to have music that exists in those emotional spaces and to have artists who create the soundscapes that sound how an emotion feels,
Hmm.
that are saying things that I'm thinking or feeling, and somehow making it all still danceable, and because so much, I think it's important to be in our bodies.
Hmm.
I say that as a yoga teacher, a massage therapist.
Yep.
Um, and dance is a part of that. And we've been doing that as humans for, millennia,
Hmm.
just dancing around a fire and a drum beat and a community. And like you feel that in the club with your homies playing your songs that are just like boom, 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 and you're moving and you're shaking and you're feeling alive
Dude, all
and
yeah.
feeling cathartic and it's an integral part of the human experience.
Yep.
And I think it's important. And the goth music just, just resonated. It's not just like the music, but the aesthetics of it,
Yeah.
um, is a just as much of a huge part. I was pretty young when I saw The Matrix and Phantom Menace, and to have like Darth Maul and all the Matrix people out there at such a young age was like, this is the coolest thing ever. Like,
Yeah.
and even the soundtrack for like The Matrix was incredible. Like
Yeah.
it also had Rob Zombie and Rage Against the Machine and Ministry worked on it and like all these
Deftones, you
incredible
know.
act. Yeah, yeah. Um, so and Rob Dugan was another really big.
Oh, Rob Dugan, God dang.
Rob Dugan never
His
gets
work with
enough
Juno
credit.
Reactor was just like, God, so good.
That of course, like Club to Death and I think Furious Angels
Mm-hmm.
is in the movie, but that album, and he wrote that album after I believe his brother died.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of those songs are again come from just like this place of grief and pain and I think people get the misconception that like goths or whatever are like all depressed all the time, but I think it's because we have that space to allow these feelings to take place. I often find some of these, goths are some of the friendliest, nicest people that I've met, and appreciate life still, even if we're looking at death in the face often.
Yes. That's exactly right. And I think it's such a great community out there, the Goth scene, and especially out in Chicago. I've always been very envious, and we have it in blurbs here. And the more people I talk to on the podcast, the more I'm starting to notice that sometimes it'll pop up, over there, over here, and it's just like, okay, good. There's something going on, and we need that. We need that sort of
Yeah,
unity and people to talk to and a group to hang out with, and
yeah.
again, go to
And
shows and dance it up.
we started a Discord, a Chicago Goth scene Discord.
Oh, cool.
Um, there was like a big group chat that I got invited to of just like a lot of local
Mm-hmm.
industry folk. And obviously the Chicago Goth scene page had been growing, but they were just like flyers. And we had this group chat of industry folk that got really big, and I was like, we need this could be something else. And I've used Discord in the past and I really enjoyed it and met a lot of friends there, and it made sense. And so I like built the Discord for them. But it's our Discord now. And it's been amazing. There's a lot of people who meet up who are like, "Hey, I've never gone to I've always been kind of anxious to go out by myself, like, to kind of meet friends online and share stuff and all kinds of things, whether it's like asking people about makeup or obviously music and equipment, like there's just so much that even if it's just talking about what we're eating, um,
Chicago
about
food,
building
yeah,
out
the best.
community.
Yeah,
And it's been awesome, and I feel like I've noticed more people at events and shows because of it since then.
yeah.
And also of like keeping the community safe. There's always every now and then inevitably something that comes up that whether it's someone who's acting inappropriately or whatever it is, and it's like, okay, like as a community, how do we make everyone feel safe and heard and supported? And there's like an ongoing list of not all the obviously all venues can't just like flat out block someone, but if we're putting on an event with our people, it's like, okay, we know that X, Y, or Z may be like predatory, and are just like no longer allowed. And that's also part of it. And having those conversations is again not easy. It's a lot of discomfort. But I think it's also nice for people to have a community where people are like, hey, like this thing happened to my friend.
Mhm.
Just recently, someone was at Nocturna, some outsider, not like anyone affiliated with the goth scene, and people just walk in sometimes, and I guess had drugged some people, and everyone was okay, thankfully, but it was like okay, like someone had a space in the Discord to say like, hey, this happened to my friend,
Mhm.
and then as a community, like, what can we do
Yeah.
to make this, better, whether it's the DJs or the promoters and Chelsea and Nat from the Chicago goth scene were like, you know what, we're gonna get those drink covers and have them at events, like things like that,
Mhm.
where we're like, okay, like how we're just always thinking and making a safer space for people.
Should be.
Of course, yeah. And so it's been nice and in a lot of ways to have this community
Great.
as supportive and as growing as it is. We just passed like 400 members
Nice.
in the Discord, so it's been a lot of fun.
What's your thoughts? I don't bring this up very often, but I think we have some common ground. What's your thoughts on these sort of goths against cancel culture?
Fuck them.
I know, yeah. So
I don't even.
I knew some people that were part of the group, and I kind of peeked my head in to kind of look around in the group, and I went, nah, this isn't for me, and I kind of just backed out, and I completely just because it just got. I don't know. You try and go, okay. You try to find common ground with certain people and go, okay, you think differently than me. That okay, let's try and find. But it just got so like, where the fuck is this going, and how is this such a why put all that weight on the sort of goth group, goth community, and why just bring all like it was just frustrating to see. And I don't know if they have that out there in Chicago or anything like that, or any sort of like what you've experienced, but it's frustrating to see, and it just gets very aggravating.
Yeah. I mean, I know some people who are like in that group just for like fun. I
Yeah,
I I don't find a lot of joy or pleasure in that kind of thing.
I don't either.
So for a minute I was like, haha, but then I'm like, this is just sad. Like
they
and I
were
feel bad for them,
they were
you
bad
know.
mouthing Vision Video, and he was on my podcast, and he's probably one of the coolest dudes to talk
Oh,
to.
Dusty is out here and
Dusty,
and so vocal.
he's
God
so,
bless him.
and I think that was one of the things where I was just going, but you guys don't even know the guy. Like, he's the raddest dude, and he's very outspoken, and good on him, and he's been through all that shit, the military shit, and
Oh
he's
yeah. No,
very
he's been
much, I
an
saw a
important
post
voice.
of him getting arrested for protesting.
Yeah, just like yesterday,
It was
like
like
2 days ago or
It was
something,
like
really
2 days
recently.
ago, and I just go, you guys are judging him based on what? On something? I'm like, if you don't agree, it's fine, but don't badmouth the guy. Like, he's really awesome person, and
Yeah.
very very cool. Like, and I hope to see more, because I know he put Vision Video on hold for a while or something like that, and I guess he's starting a new project, and it's just like, I'm excited to see what he's got going on.
hmm
But yeah, it's just one of those groups that's so frustrating to see. So
Yeah, and it seems like mostly people who got mad that they got ousted for shitty ideas and views that harm people. And then you're like,
I know.
oh, why wasn't allowed to say the thing that caused harm to people? And they don't even see the harm that it caused
Mhm.
or not, or just want to like own the libs or whatever the fuck it is.
Yep.
So I don't pay it too much mind. I would love for them to bash Gravelove on there. I think that would mean that we're doing
Something
enough,
right.
in some way. Yeah, where it's like you know, um,
I love that. That's
which
so
is only a matter of time, I
yeah, I get
feel
it.
like. But yeah,
I
yeah.
get it. I get it. I just didn't know if it was like anywhere out there in Chicago, if there's any sort of like thing that people are trying to bring into the scene, or I'm just like, because I mean, it's not really out
Not
here.
really.
Very, very much a liberal area out here, and
Yeah.
I didn't know how it was out there, and I don't bring it up very often, so I was like, oh, let me see if
And a
you
lot of the
notice.
bands here are also, really vocal
Good.
at
Good.
their shows and things. And so, I'm sure they're out there. I'm sure some of them are stay real quiet,
Yeah.
and keep hanging out. Aside that, we did a show, and one of my buddies was like, told me that there was a guy who was a former IOF soldier or something. And I was like, what the fuck is he doing here? And, had his own like relationship. And he's like, can we just keep it nice? Like, try to keep the peace. And thankfully left before our set. Um, but, it was also a venue that's a very like was a DIY kind of anarcho
Yeah.
space. And it's like, why the who like what?
Hmm.
No, like no, I can't just play nice. And again, this dude left pretty quick. And aside from that, and aside from people who are just behaving inappropriately, which is a different story,
Hmm.
I don't get a lot of, or I don't see a lot of people who are trying to be more like right wing about stuff.
That's good.
Um,
Good.
and the whole community itself is vocal enough to be like, this is where we stand, and if you don't like that, you're not going
That's
to
how
have
it should be.
fun,
That's how it should be.
right?
But yeah, Grave Love. Do you? I usually like. I'll go ahead and let you go. Sorry, I'm kind of rambling now.
No, it's all good.
Appreciate your time. This was amazing, amazing podcast. I feel like we just uncovered so much, and it was such a great talk. So thank you for your time.
Thank
I
you.
really
I
appreciate it.
appreciate it.
Usually I always ask one last question. Where do you hope to see Grave Love? You got any big plans for the next like 5 to 10 years? Are you kind of got your little, goal sheet or anything like that for
Yeah.
Grave Love?
Um, I want to keep growing.
Good.
Obviously, I think we all do. I would love to go on. I mean, long term, I would love to be doing world tours. I would love to. I think realistically, the way things have the last 2 years have been, like things take a lot of time. Like 10 years to get like a what feels like a really um, successful like national tour could be a thing. Um, we're we're still playing out of state a little bit here and there. We haven't done like even a weekend run. Would love to have an album out. Would love to make a better lives show.
Sure.
All that stuff takes time, and I'm happy to just keep doing the work that we're doing. Another little bit I got from Saul Williams, I think I'm thinking about now,
Hmm.
is a quote from the Tao, and he mentions part of it. And the Tao, he says, success is as dangerous as failure,
Mm.
and hope is as hollow as fear.
Wow.
And I take that to just do the work that you believe in,
Yeah.
whether or not you're getting accolades or getting admonished for it,
Hmm.
or whether or not things are looking good or not. Like you do what you do because you believe in it, and it's like what you feel like you're meant to be doing. And so, in some ways, I'm happy to just keep doing this work,
Perfect.
and wherever it takes us, I'm happy to see where it takes us. And you know, I think most bands would like love to be blowing up, and go viral and be a household name or whatever it is. Or I don't think I like need or want to need is wild. But I don't even know if I like want to like win a Grammy or anything like that. I think that'd be cool if it happened. I wouldn't be mad about it, I don't think, but it's not something I'm like striving towards in that way.
Sure.
Um, I would love to tour. I would love to play like the Metro. Like I would love to play like a sold out show at the Metro
Yep.
in my hometown and travel just because I love traveling, and I know touring is rough, especially nowadays and the time and the economy that we're in and
Would you
the
do
state.
like a goth festival, like Dark Forest Fest or
Oh,
anything like that?
totally.
That
Oh,
would
of course, of
that would
course. And we've been asked, and we've had some people who like have have kind of put our names in, or like y'all should follow this out. And I think I do not work a 9 to 5, but some of the members are still in kind of corporate jobs,
very
and that's tough to just be like, even play a show on a weeknight.
yep.
Uh,
Yep.
so so yeah, I just keep getting better and improving our own sound and getting doing better, cooler things and playing
Looking
with
forward.
other bands that we enjoy. And I'm really excited for Ghost Cop.
So cool. Oh
That feels
man,
like one of the shows that I feel like we're oh shit,
going up. You're another
we're going
another
to Ghost
step
Cop.
on up the ladder, if you
Listen, it
will.
was really awesome that we brought Tiffadelic at Bottom Lounge. She was really awesome, and we became friends really quickly. Really good people. So it's been cool. I'm just looking forward to collaborating with more artists and like playing live or remixes or whatever it is, and traveling other states and hopefully having rooms that are sold out.
Yeah, dude, I'm so happy for you. Thank you so
So
much for your time. I really appreciate it. Again, I encourage everybody follow on Facebook, Instagram. Um, get the music off Bandcamp. You got a YouTube. I'll link everything in the description. And Ali, thank you so much for your time. I
no,
appreciate it.
thank you, Justin.
No
I
problem, bud.
appreciate you. Take
Yep.
care. Be well.